Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Game Day here. I really contemplated a lot with this episode, especially after the events of Monday Night Football yesterday. I really contemplated about it. I honestly just didn't even feel like making an episode today. And it has nothing to do with the fact of the Eagles' embarrassing performance against the Saints this season. It's just that some things in this life, are more important. Things are bigger than football, especially in this current time right now where a scary situation has happened in the NFL, and so it's very difficult to discuss, and I have nothing written up here. I don't even know really much about what I want to say, but I just know that I really want to focus on the Monday Night Football situation because, like I said, some things are bigger than football, and this was a situation that very much was, and so I don't think this week I'll be doing my normal coverage, but I just really want to talk about just this scary situation and just, first off, of course, sending all my thoughts and prayers, of course, to Damar sorry, my apologies. Sending all my thoughts and prayers to Damar Hamlin and his family, of course. And I'm sending all my love to him and his family and hoping the best for him, as well as T. Higgins, who, unfairly is catching a lot of flack for what happened when none of it is on him, and the people who want to put it on him should be absolutely ashamed and embarrassed of themselves that they want to go and look for someone to blame in such a freak accident that happened yesterday, So I just want to send all my thoughts and prayers to those two men, as well as all players involved on field, all personnel involved on field that had to be so close to the situation like that. And I can only imagine the amount of fear that was in their hearts, watching something as scary as that happen on the field. I want to show appreciation to the Bills, Bengals, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Booger McFarland, and oh gosh, what is his name? Oh my gosh, I feel so bad for Ryan Clark as well. Just absolute professionals in this business, and I just want to show appreciation to them for, of course, Troy Aikman and Joe Buck for having to call all of that live and keep their composure and be as professional as possible, and Booger McFarland and Ryan Clark for just their amazing words on the situation. Like, I can't stress enough how much I appreciate their professionalism in such a situation like that. It was definitely real amazing, seeing Booger McFarland, on air at the ESPN studio, just, being the first one to, to speak up to the NFL and just straight up tell him, and not only to the NFL, but to the network as well, and ESPN, speaking up and saying, hey, like I've been saying this entire time, things are bigger than football. Football is the least important thing right now. NFL just cancel the game, postpone the game, do not even try to expect these players to be able to play a game after what just happened, and telling the studio, hey, we'll figure it out ourselves, what we'll put on for you tonight, but we cannot resume our regularly scheduled program as if, such a tragic freak accident just didn't happen on live television, and, Joe Buck for just, being so professional and calling it, and, absolutely embarrassing, I don't even know what's the word for it, but display of authority, action from the NFL as now they're trying to say that Joe Buck and ESPN were lying about the teams being told they had 5 minutes to warm up. But if you go back and watch that coverage, you're not going to sit here and tell me that Joe Buck said that statement about them being given 5 minutes to warm up 4 or 5 times, and them even showing the quarterbacks warming up. You're not going to show that on live television and think you can get away with it, NFL. It's an absolutely embarrassing, like I said, embarrassing action and showmanship of authority from them to just completely disregard what just happened on the field, without even any confirmation about, without any confirmation about, if he was okay, if, not even if he was just okay, but if things were, being handled properly, and all that, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just completely angered at the NFL for their lack of accountability in this situation, and the fact that they want to try and deny the fact that they didn't tell them that they had 5 minutes to warm up when everyone in the situation is coming out and saying it, and especially because Zach Taylor can be seen on television going up to is it Sean McDermott? I believe it's Sean McDermott, the Bills head coach, going up to him and, telling him, hey, they're telling us we have 5 minutes to warm up. We don't want to do this. And, both agreeing in solidarity, basically, and telling all their guys, go to those locker rooms and wait. We're not doing this, I don't care if the NFL is the big boss, and all these sponsorships and all that, and all the network execs, who care about or are only caring about money here and only viewing them as entertainment. They pulled all their guys into that locker room and said, hey, you can screw off if you think we're going to play just because, you don't want to lose the money from this game. One of our players just had such a freak accident. We're worrying for him and his well-being, and you're not even thinking about that first and foremost. Absolutely embarrassing from the NFL. And again, an embarrassing lack of accountability from them as they now try and shift blame and try and make it seem like, like they weren't the ones calling in the orders, and that's why I appreciate Booger McFarland so much for, being on live television and, speaking straight to them, saying, call the game off, because at that point in time when they were doing the stuff and he was in the studio, the game had not been called yet. Everyone was still wondering what the heck is going to go on. Is this game going to go on? Is it going to be postponed? He was one of the first ones to speak up and say, cancel this game. No one cares about football right now after what we watch. You think any of the players want to play football after what just happened? Because keep in mind, and it's one of the reasons why I was saying at the beginning, it's absolutely embarrassing and shameful that people want to blame T. Higgins for it. It was a routine play. There was nothing, there was nothing about the play that made it different. It was just him going for a simple tackle and T. Higgins making a simple catch and just trying to get more yards. There wasn't no head-to-head collision. There wasn't no big hit from DeMar Hamlin's onto T. Higgins, There was no sort of action where both men fell and hit their heads on the ground while trying to perform a tackle or a dive, None of that. It was just a simple routine play that ended up being such a freak accident, and so it's like, how can you expect any of the players to want to step back on that field and play, knowing just how unsafe this game is, basically, that even the simplest of tackle can lead to them having such a severe injury that, the wrong move, the wrong amount of pressure on a certain point can lead to such a severe, potentially season career-ending injury, Watching, and, it's such a lack of sympathy, empathy, whatever you want to say, towards the players that, and it's just an embarrassing it's an embarrassing act from the NFL, because all they proved with this game was that they don't view these players as human. They don't view them as people themselves. They don't value them. They just view them as what? Dollar signs. They just view them as dollar signs, puppets in their game to make them money. That's all they view them as. Because the fact that you expected them to be given 5 minutes as if that's enough time when they don't even know if their brother is fine, if if something's gone wrong, there's no confirmation of if he's doing well. They just saw the man get CPR on the field. They had to bring an ambulance in and take him to a local hospital, and you expect him to just be fine after 5 minutes? Like, it reminds me, obviously, I wasn't born at the time, but it reminds me, obviously, of the Owen Hart situation with the WWE, and, when none of them knew what happened, if he was okay, and Jim Ross, he said it on the Dark Side of the Ring episode, basically saying that they told him, oh, he's dead, okay, and we're going back on air in 10 seconds. That's as much time as you got to prepare yourself to be back on live television, basically, or live pay-per-view, and just be able to explain to the fans what happened and carry on the rest of the show like it's nothing, absolutely embarrassing, and of course there's going to be people out there who are going to defend the NFL, to defend them as if they aren't this billion-dollar corporation, and I'm kind of rambling here at this point, but it just goes to show just the amount of emotions in this situation, and it's why I just love the fact that Zach Taylor, Sean McDermott, all the Bills players, all the Bengals players just got together and said, we're not doing this, We value ourselves. We value our teammate. We value, each other and each other's safety and health and well-being, that we're not going to stick through this and, play this just for your sake, Who cares if the playoffs are around and this was an important game for seeding? That doesn't matter at this point, Just absolutely beautiful display from both those teams, and the NFL really needs to get on top of it, because this isn't the only thing this season. We just saw Russell Wilson pretty much get knocked out in that Chiefs game from a couple of weeks ago. We've seen Tua get nearly 3-4 concussions in one NFL season, and when you think of it in an even bigger scope, the NFL season is only a couple months, meaning we've seen Tua get about 3 to 4 concussions basically in a span of 1-2 months, and still being able to go back out there, We saw Tua on live television, or I think it was a Thursday night game, but still, we saw him out there live, basically having a seizure. We saw the freak image with his hands. That happened, and he's still out here playing again. We just saw him get probably another concussion against the Packers last week, and not being noticed, He went on to play the rest of the game through 3 interceptions, and that's all people were talking about, not the fact that this guy was concussed probably during all that, and no one picked it up, not a single person. It took till the next day on Monday night when he was in a meeting with Mike McDaniels going over film. It took him not remembering some of the plays he ran for them to realize, oh, he might have a concussion. We need to check if he has a head injury. It took Nelson Aguilar having to get the team to call a timeout and basically get the concussion spotters to notice, hey, this guy's not in it right now. Can you check up on him? Can you get him out this game? He shouldn't be on the field right now. It's absolutely embarrassing to me that the lack of care shown to these players and their health. Players all year round, former players showing, signs of the effects of playing this game. Multiple players, sadly passing away, and when the autopsies and all the after reviews are done, it shows the CTE, all the effects on their body that happen from playing this game, and who knows, because obviously like I said, it's a $1 billion corporation. They have all these advertiser deals. It's been around for 100 years, but honestly, as much as people think it's too drastic of a take and all that, I seriously believe that I seriously believe that football may just completely be phased out. Not anytime soon, but I wouldn't be surprised, like in the distant future, that it's completely phased out and isn't a sport no more. Because it is obviously every sport is dangerous. Every sport is dangerous. Every sport has freak accidents such as this. But, the physicality of football is just much higher than other sports. And it runs so much more of a risk, And And the reason I fully believe it will be phased out to a point where it's no longer a national sport is because, think about it. People have been trying to talk about how can we make this game more safer on the players. We're trying to develop, better helmets to protect them. We're trying to implement all these rules to protect these players. But what more can you do when the game itself is just dangerous? Because like I said when discussing it, it was a routine play. There is no type of rule, penalty, equipment, field, when it comes to the turf or real grass debate, none of that changes what happened on that play. The only thing that, the only argument I'll make is I believe, I could be wrong here, and that's my apologies for not doing more research, but I believe the Bengals field is turf, and so when DeMar, fell back, it's a rougher landing when he fell back because that's just concrete under that turf, which is why so many players have been trying to get turf fields just completely, bad in a sense, because it has an increased percentage of injuries whenever, there's more injuries that are happening on turf fields. But yeah, like I said, there's nothing that could have been done to prevent such an accident from happening other than just not playing the game at all, Like, it was an argument I was seeing all this morning. People just saying we want change in the NFL to prioritize these players' health and safety, but what more can they do other than just making it so that tackling isn't a thing, There really isn't much to be done, but that's going back to my main point, that shouldn't still stop us from holding the NFL accountable for their actions in the handling of this situation and many other injury situations. Because like I said, obviously injuries have happened throughout all the seasons, but this is the first season I can remember in a while where we've seen a lot of really bad / freak injuries. Like I said, with all the Tua stuff and how that's been handled, the fact that he's been allowed to play after a lot of those, is absolutely baffling to me that they've let him even continue playing. He hasn't played, he didn't play this week if I remember correctly, but if the Dolphins make the playoffs, it's like, are we to believe they won't start him? But it's like, dude, no. It's like, who said, oh man, someone said it. I think it was Emmanuel Acho. He was like saying, doesn't even matter if you make the playoffs, just bench him the rest of the year. Keep him out until next year because his health matters more than a stupid playoff game, And it's the same with all these other injuries that happen. We've seen more and more of these, head injuries happen, especially this season. And I don't know what more to say other than just, hold the league accountable. Send all your prayers and thoughts to DeMar Hamlin, his family, all the players involved, T. Higgins especially. Show appreciation to the guys who handled it with such professionalism, like Joe Buck, like Booger McFarland, like Ryan Clark, and just hope and pray that, that we see the best outcome for DeMar Hamlin, that, he is being treated well, and, what's the word I want to use? Basically, that he's being given the best attention, that they're treating him well, that, prayers to those doctors that have to, be in this situation, and handle such a scary situation like this with DeMar, and all you can do going forward is just hold out hope for this man, his family, and that when he recovers, that he's able to see all the love that people were giving to him. The fact that his toy drive that he does every year, the I think it was a GoFundMe link or whatever, the link was still up and people immediately found it and were donating, and now it has over 3 million raised, Absolutely amazing from all the people involved, that are showing their love to this man. And all you can do is hope that the league just shows more attention and really sits down and decides with themselves what they want to do going forward. This obviously isn't the point of this episode, but like it really kind of it really goes to show you that I don't think adding an extra game to the season is the outcome. Sorry. Adding an extra game really isn't looking all too well in hindsight. An extra game to the season was definitely not necessary. Because all it does is add more toll onto these players' bodies, their overall health, their mentality. And just gotta hope for the best, and hopefully next week with it's gonna be tough, but they're gonna go through with it, but hopefully next week there's a bit of a more uplifting tone to this episode, to the NFL as a whole, and hopefully, like I said, my biggest hope is just seeing some type of change. I don't know what change, sadly. Usually when I call for change, I like to offer solutions with it, because I think it's dumb to, speak about change but not have solutions present, But in this case, like I was saying earlier, I just don't know what changes you could propose. You just gotta hope that, the science, the medical advances find some type of solution. If not, like I said, I seriously would consider looking into, not having football as an organized sport, especially in the younger years of these kids who are starting to play it in elementary, middle school, and, setting themselves up for all that damage at an early age, But thank you all for joining for this episode of Game Day. As always, many things in this life may seem impossible, but when you fight for your dreams will fight for you. Damar, we're praying for you all. We're hoping the best for you. And all my prayers, thoughts, and loves to the family and everyone involved in this situation. Take care, y'all.